So we've got a Altra Lone Peak 7 got here over Christmas holiday, and also another pair of Lone Peak 6s. I wore the other ones out last year. Took about 500 miles, and the bottoms got kind of soft and unsupportive, so they are now just for like around the house and stuff. The 6s had a nice orange box, and gone are the days of the orange box, and we've got a more plain box for the 7s. And inside here, it's what we've all been waiting for. Ooh. I love the way these shoes smell out of the box. I was surprised to have these before Christmas this year. They shipped much faster than previous years, which is good. I've got them. I can start hiking with them right away when I get moving in January. And the first thing you're going to notice about these is the uppers are they're all glued. There is no stitching on these. And let me pop out some of the 6s. I'll show you what I mean. So on the 6, you'll see that there's stitching all around the toe, stitching on the sides here, and on the toe cap also has stitching. The 7s, there's no stitching on the toe cap, no stitching on the sides. The only stitching I see is for these couple little loop things on the side here for the laces. And unlike last year, there used to be a hole on that part there, so you could do a looser top lace if you wanted to. I never used it, but some people do. You'll see there's a lace hole there in the previous version. That's gone. Still has the Velcro tab on the back and the little loop here if you want to hook your gaiters to that. Just real quick, back to the stitching on the toe here, or the lack thereof. This was a huge complaint prior to version 5. Prior to version 5, the toe in like the first 10 miles of walking would almost immediately peel off. They fixed that with the 5 and the 6 by putting a big stitch in the front, which for me worked wonderfully. It never really came apart. You could see where the glue on some of them came apart a little bit, but the toe never peeled down. It was secure, so that was good. I'm hoping this is not a step backwards from the previous design. Second big thing that you'll notice on this shoe is there's no holes. There's no drainage holes. The front it's almost it's sealed rubber on the front. There's no drainage holes in the front, no drainage on the side, except for one thing I'll talk about in a second. No drainage on this side anywhere, and maybe on the bottom there's some little mysterious holes in the tread, which looks like it's pretty good this year, but I don't think they go through that I can see. Previous versions of the shoe, you'll see, had lots of drainage, and it worked really well. If you got in a stream or something, you pull your foot out, really in no time the water would leak out of that, and you wouldn't be squishing down the trail, squish, squish. We'll see how these work out long term. The material on the front is pretty porous and light, so maybe the water will just leak out and the drain holes were a placebo. And back to this, the other thing I want to add, this it's kind of like a clear area. It's actually more like a mesh or a screen. It's hard plastic, but it's porous, so air and water easily goes through this top part, except it's kind of high on the shoes, so maybe for sweat and perspiration, stuff like that will evaporate out to keep your feet more cool. But on the water side, it's not in the toe or the heel where I tend to get squishiness. Another thing I want to add is on the actual toe material. This is a fairly soft rubber material. Even in the photographs pre-release for these, I was concerned that that this was a little too thin. I tend to stub my toes on roots and rocks and stuff. The old version and previous versions to the 6, this toe cap had been getting progressively thicker and tougher. And the 6 was actually pretty good. It provided nice protection from stubbing your toe on things. It still hurt like heck, but it wasn't like some of the earlier versions that were super soft. This looks like a return to super squishy. I'll do an update later on after I've hiked in these for a while. We'll see how good that is or how bad that is. The last big change I want to mention about this design is down in here. You'll see this plastic wedge thing. It's hard. This is hard plastic. It's not squishy like the sole is rubbery and has some give to it. This is like bonded underneath the upper, between the sole and the upper, and it is a cup. It goes all the way around the back. It's a hard plastic cup that seems to, when your foot's in it, hold your heel pretty much over the center of the shoe. So if your foot gets sideways, it doesn't start sliding out of the shoe. Some of the older versions, actually most of the older versions, if they weren't laced up tightly, if you didn't use a runner's lock on your lace up here with the second holes and pull the top tight, your heel would be moving around. For me, my heels are kind of sensitive to hot spots on the side, so this is another area, a watch item I'm gonna keep a lookout for, because I don't know how I feel about that. I almost returned them when I got them because of that, but I don't feel it right now when I walk around in them, so we'll see how that goes. And you can look at the old versions. It's just the sole and the upper just come right together. You got squishy sole, squishy upper, and they just mate with nothing here at all other than some stitched leather or leather-like substance, fake leather. Pleather. Overall, I think it's a good shoe. It's got some differences from the last version, a little bit weird in places. Surprising to me, they are heavier than they used to be, about a ½ ounce heavier per shoe. My old ones weighed in at 299 grams. This brand new set out of the box, they're coming in at 301 grams for the 6s, and the 7s are coming in at 320 grams, so they're roughly a ½ ounce heavier. The laces are kind of short, but I can still tie them, so it may not be a problem. Oh, and they did return back to the heel strap, a normal finger strap, as opposed to this ridiculous one on the 6, which is like sideways, which never worked for me. Just a ridiculous way to have a heel strap. So we're back to something more traditional, which I think I'm gonna like a whole lot. Quick look at the bottom. It's got a really cool lug pattern. It has more lugs than previously, just to compare the 6s with the 7s. Pattern's updated a little bit, and it's got some interesting, I don't know, probably just some toe traction there on the back and also on the heel for a little extra grip. And there's more of it. The material too seems a tiny bit maybe gummier than the previous version. It could just be the color of the sole. This one's orange, and it seems to maybe be less gummy than the black version. I don't know if it's material or if it's actually a change. So we'll see how these wear long term. I'm hoping I get at least 400 miles out of these. We'll see as time goes on. What's in the box? Got a cat trap here. Gotta love new shoes. They smell tasty. Hey.